your throne, and I see glory, glory in the highest, and an emerald rainbow round the throne of God, and a crystal rivers now flowing from your presence, with your love and healing for all the nations. Eyes a liquid flame of love, the holy lamp shines brighter than a billion angels above, and I lift my praise to Him, and I will shout for joy, for I have seen His glory, His glory, His glory. My prayer is for all of you to know Him, oh, to really love Him, and to sing God's praises, to worship and to see God's glory. Come on and lift your hands high like Michael in the sky, and bow down before His holy presence. And if you really listen, you'll hear His angel song, and it'll cause your mind to see, and open the deaf ears to hear the angels singing to Him. And you know your heaven is yours, and we will shout for joy, for we have touched His glory, His Lift your hands and praise your King, and sing and dance for joy, for we have touched the glory of a mighty God, a mighty God.
Hi guys, I wanted to take this time to record my testimony of a spiritual experience that I had, I think it was about over a year ago, and I wanted to share it with you now. My testimony starts actually about 4 years ago, when I was first diagnosed with cancer. I went in for a regular routine physical, and during the examination process the doctor discovered that I had a cancerous tumor. And what happens is I needed to be scheduled for immediate surgery. I scheduled the surgery with my doctor. The tumor was removed, and I had no other incident of any cancer until about, I would guess, about 3 years later, when I went in for some follow-up examinations and also just a regular checkup, and my doctor had me do a full body scan. That full body scan revealed that I had some cancerous tumors, and I was instructed by my oncologist, once he looked at the information that was given to him, that I needed to start chemotherapy right away because of the locations of the tumors. If I did not receive chemotherapy, I was told that I would be dead within 4 to 6 months. Okay, so I started my chemotherapy treatment, and I had a Metaport installed into my chest in this area right here, and so that they could administer the chemotherapy drugs. About 3 months into the treatment, I began to have some complications. I was having an extreme fever, and it was determined at that time that I was possibly had an infection due to the Metaport that they had installed into my chest, and I was running an extreme fever of about 103, and my blood had basically become septic. And so I had a family member and some family members come over, and one of them happened to be a physician, and they told me that I needed to get to the hospital right away. I was resisting. But what happened was I got to the hospital because they told me that if they believed what they believed was happening, if I did not get to the hospital, I would be dead in a few hours. And so I went to the hospital. They started to administer some antibiotics to counter, to attack the infection and to help me to feel better. While I was laying in the hospital, I was praying and I was talking to God. I had been a Christian for many years, but there was always a part of myself that I was holding back. I felt afraid to give myself completely over to the Holy Spirit, even though I know I felt the call of God on my life. I had been baptized, and I had been going to church for many years. But there was just always a little part of me that I felt that I was holding back, partially because I was scared of what would happen if I gave the Holy Spirit complete control over my life. Well, as I was laying in bed and I was talking to God, I didn't feel that I was going to die. The Lord had revealed to me in a dream some time before that, that when I would die and what the events of my death would be. So I felt like this wasn't that time, and I wanted to just talk to God, and I just wanted to pour out my heart to Him. So basically, I began to pray, and I began to talk to God, and I told the Lord that I didn't feel that He was going to take me now because I knew what His plan was for me. And I told Him that I had been scared and afraid of yielding completely to the Holy Spirit, even though I felt a strong call of God. So what happened was, as I was laying there in the hospital bed, then I had my eyes closed and I was praying, and I told the Lord, I said, God, I'm not afraid anymore. I said, I want you to have all of me. And then I told him, I said, I want you to give me a double portion of your Holy Spirit, and I want you to have all of me. As I was praying this prayer, I felt I had my eyes closed, but I felt a light coming from the back of my head, and I felt immediately transported. I was seeing things like as if I were dead. I was seeing myself laying on the bed in the hospital. I could see my feet, but I was kind of seeing myself hovering above the bed. I could see the room, but it was like I was on the ceiling of the room looking down. I was immediately taken out of that room, and I was taken up to the third heaven. As I was going up, I felt a presence talking to me and telling me that what was happening, and I had no fear in what was going on. I was taken to the third heaven, and I was being shown the future events. So even though my wife and my children were still alive, I was seeing them in the kingdom of heaven. I was seeing the kingdom of heaven. I was watching, and I saw different saints, different loved ones, and I knew that I was seeing future events because my wife, of course, was alive and well, and my children are alive and well at the time. And so I was seeing all of these different things and some of the beauties of heaven, and I was completely amazed. I saw people just happy and singing and dancing and praising God and just having a wonderful, wonderful time. The beauties of heaven, the light of heaven, it was just an amazing, amazing experience. I don't know how long the visions went on, but I began to see more and more different things. One of the things was that as I was being taken up to heaven, I remember that God took me outside of what we know as reality, and he allowed me to see all of the different levels of heaven than the third level. There were actually several different levels, possibly 12 or 13 different levels of heaven. And what I would say was that as I was looking at it, I was looking at it as if I was out of it, but I could see all the different dimensions of heaven